Okay. All right, we are now live. Can you see my screen? 2 minutes and counting.
Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Carmen Bitar with Omega Phi Beta Foundation. Welcome to the Omega Phi Beta Foundation and the Growth and Goals Mindset weekly session. This is our last session with Growth and Goals. We've had a series of weekly STEAM-related workshops from science, technology, engineering, math, and bring you some arts and tech with designing logo with Marty. Marty has over 22 years experience with designing, and we're very happy to have Marty join us today. Welcome, Marty.
Hey, thank you for that great intro. um, like she said, my name is Martin Medina, and I've been in this game for years. It's made me an animal. Um, so I guess I can start. I grew up on the Lower East Side. Won my first art award in PS 142 in sixth grade. Won another art award in middle school. Wound up going to High School of Art and Design. So all this is in New York, by the way. Went to High School of Art and Design, met some amazing people. Wound up going to college for phys ed. And then at that same time, I started working for a clothing line at the age of 19. So at 19 years old, I started my professional career in design, which is 1999 for all those keeping track. You can see all of them in my beard. So I started in 1999, working for a clothing line. And by 20 years old, I was like living in China for like a month. And I slept in a factory for a couple weeks, visited textile mills, stood in the main offices. So this was like an experience at an early age that helped me mold my design career. And it's something that helped me bring these elements to, I guess, the teaching forefront, because I've also been a teaching artist, or I was a teaching artist at the Boys and Girls Club Educational Alliance for 11 years in the Lower East Side, 197 East Broadway. But before that, I was also a designer at the New York City Housing Authority, NYCHA, the largest low-income housing development in the country. And I worked for community operations and special events. So, Snapple fact, I was the only designer in community operations special events. So I was literally the only designer in NYCHA history whose specialty was targeting and marketing towards low income communities and low income families. So I'm a leading expert in the world of of marketing towards low income communities and the largest low income community in the United States. So there's only one of one, which is pretty cool. I like that. I designed all the flyers, brochures, logos that went into all the community based programming from sports, gardening, theater, special events. And I also sat in those 6 years, sat in all the meetings for special events. So there's a lot of people who were in those meetings who I paid attention to. Probably looked like I wasn't because I was doodling the whole time. It's just what an artist does, what a creative does. Which led me to create one of the largest back to school events and resource festivals in the Lower East Side, basically history. We've given out 10,000 book bags in 4 years. That leads me to an organization that I founded and built called Why Not Care, which is a nonprofit. And then we also did, the Growth and Goals Mindset, which both started in 2016. Growth and Goals Mindset was a program that I built directly after leaving the teen center. So after I did 11 years at the teen center, I wanted to do something my own and build up my own brand and do things, I guess, my way. So that's when Growth and Goals came into play, because I was like, we teach our youth all these cool things like art and karate and cooking and dance, and we don't actually teach them the business behind everything. So I created the Growth and Goals Mindset to teach the business aspect of life. So essentially, you come to these classes, we teach you how to start a business plan, marketing plan. We bring attorneys in to talk about legal needs. We bring A&Rs from Def Jam to talk about, who's actually one of my partners, Dro. He talks about like networking and building up a team. And then we bring in other people to talk about how to run your business, how to maintain your storefront, how to maintain an online shop, how to market properly, how to do promotions and social media things. So, we build that into a whole 11-week program, and it's pretty awesome. We're going into our 5th year. Right now, we're working with Latea and the Clemente, 107 Suffolk Street in the Lower East Side, where we're going to be doing a bunch of other things like screen printing class for youth, adults, and we're going to have a master class as well. When we have featured artists, same thing we do with Growth and Goals. We'll have featured artists come in and kind of give like a master class in screen printing, because it's one of the oldest printing techniques in the world. A lot of it derived in Latin America. So we're going to touch that. And but for today, we're going to talk about building a logo, right? We're going to talk about logo design. So I take all these design years that I've been doing, 20 plus years, 22 years, and we're going to crunch this into an hour, right? Right now, 55 minutes. We're going to talk about do's and don'ts. I'm going to work on a logo right now for you guys that I already have made, but I'm going to show you the process in which I got to that. And we're going to do this step by step. So if anybody has any questions, you can hit it up in the chat, whether it's on YouTube or it's on the Zoom meeting. Feel free to jump in, ask questions. I'm all about questions. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm all about questions. You could throw them in as I'm going through the process. You don't have to wait to the end. I'm all about interaction during the process. So if anybody sees questions, just raise your hand or just say, hey, Marty, I have a question, and we'll get that answer, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions along the way. And if they're not, you can also email me at growthandgoals@gmail.com afterwards if you have more questions. Not only do I do this design thing, I'm also an entrepreneur. I do nonprofits, I do basketball cards, I do motivational cards, I do clothing lines, you name it. I've worked on the package designs for Eminem and Shady Records, for his watch that sold out in 11 minutes, to a jacket for Kobe Bryant when he did his farewell tour for the Brooklyn Nets with Defend Brooklyn, album covers for Jordan Sparks, single covers. I worked with Wu-Tang. Matter of fact, we could go into this. Is my screen sharing? Can everybody see that? Yes, you can. So these are some of the clients, collaborators, and brands that I have worked with. I'm also a designer at IBM Watson Media. So we work with a lot of brands like McDonald's and Target and Disney, Home Depot, Red Bull. These are all the clients that you see on a daily basis. So if you open a weather app, you'll see an advertising, and this like a 1 in 5 chance that I designed that. We have a very small team with like an internal design agency. So you see, I worked with all these other clients: Wu-Tang, Def Jam, Sony, CBS. Actually, that's a collaboration that Betty brought to the table, in which they brought a whole bunch of book bags every year, at least 300 book bags every year, and we collaborated with Celebrate You to do Christmas cards and holiday cards for the elderly. A lot of collaborative things. Jimmy Jazz sponsored our festival, the Why Not Care Festival that we do every year. Adidas also gave us like 2,000 book bags. Sway's Universe. I just did a logo for Sway for his podcast with Horse. Bridge Business. NYCHA's there. I worked with NYCHA, G-Shock. Again, all these major brands. So when I work with all these major brands, they have to give us something called a style guide. And the style guide consists of do's and don'ts to do with their brand intellectual properties. What we can do with their logos, what we can't do with their logos, how we're supposed to place it, what colors we're supposed to use. So these are things that you will need for your logo moving forward after you build it up, because you want to keep your logo exactly as is. You don't want to give it to somebody or pass it off or have somebody, on your team skewing or stretching or bloating your logos. Your logo is everything to you. Like if you see these logos on the screen, everybody has a brand identity, right? Everybody has a creative style guide where with the do's and don'ts, like you cannot do certain things with these logos. You can't use certain colors. You can't place them in certain environments. So that's very important because you want to look the same across the board, whether you're on billboards, whether you're on Instagram or on TV or in a presentation hosted by Marty Medina and Omega Phi Beta Foundation. So you want to make sure your logo is as is and intact as possible. So we could go into some of the logos that I've designed, which is a lot, but we'll keep it real basic right now. If anybody has any questions yet, let me know. So this is, I didn't do this logo, by the way. This is a school that came to me. I'm actually working with them still right now. PSMS 34, Franklin D. Roosevelt, 730 East 12th Street, they're on the Lower East Side. They're in the CEC 1. And their principal Brian Glover reached out to me like, hey, Marty, I understand you did the logos for the CEC, which we're going to go over in a few. I'll show you how I came up with that logo as part of the process. Well, he was like, hey, Marty, I understand you do logos and you did this. And can I see what you got? I sent him like my little portfolio and everybody was like, wow, okay. So help us create the brand. So I asked him a few questions, which we'll go over in a few. And it led me to do something like this. This is the logo I came up with for them, which was the Jaguar. It's not a leopard or a cheetah, it's a Jaguar, because it gets real confusing with all the spots. And the first logo I did actually was this one, which was just the head, right? We could zoom in here, which was just the head. But I asked him to run it by the students and run it by the teachers so we could get some insight into what they wanted for their school and their brand. Because that's very important when creating a brand or creating a logo. Let's real quick, there's a difference between your brand and your logo. Your logo is basically your identifier. Your brand is everything that you do, your marketing, your business, your name, your tagline. That's all part of your overall brand. Your logo is your identifier. So we want to get that clear real quick. So this was the original thing I did. They really liked it, but the kids were like, hey, can we do the whole body? And I said, yes, send me a reference of how you want the body to look, or an image of something where that fits your imagination, because I need to know what you're thinking. So usually I ask clients for a reference, like, hey, just send me a reference, send me an image, a rough sketch. The first thing I get when I ask for sketches, I'm not an artist, it's gonna be bad. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not looking for you to give me your logo drawn out. That's my job. That's why you're hiring me. What I'm looking for is an idea of what's going on in your head, so I can get some type of just tangible thing, something that I can look at and determine, all right, this is the direction they want to go in. So came up with the logo. I did it in different various ways. I took the icon, which is the Jaguar right here, and I broke down the color swatches. So this is more complex, simple, super simple, because you want to be able to break a logo down like that because it's going to be used for different uses, right? So if they have this logo right here, right? It has all these colors. When they go to get it printed, if they're using a screen printing, for example, this is a lot of colors. That gets really expensive. But they could go to one of the alternates and use two colors or use one color and cut the cost down dramatically. So when you're designing a logo, whether you're designing it or you're hiring somebody to design it, make sure they break down your logo from full color to basic graphics, because you want to be able to use this logo in multiple platforms, whether you're getting something embroidered, whether you're getting something printed. You want to make sure you can see it this small and it looks good this big, because you're going to have it as a thumbnail in certain places. You're going to have it as your profile picture. You're going to use it across the board for everything you do. So this was another situation where I went into a school, Montevalle. The school is, I don't think it's in existence anymore. I think they closed down. But this was their logo. The kids weren't too happy with it. So the principal called me and was like, hey, I understand you're the logo guy. Absolutely. So everybody knows me in the community for community work with Why Not Care, or they know me for design work. Or if you're really old, you know me for playing sports, because I was in every league and every team. I was okay, wasn't that good, you know, it was good enough. But so this was their logo. So they asked for like the Jacksonville Jaguar logo. They're like, hey, can we turn that into something we could work with? So I was like, absolutely. So we came to this, where I kind of dissected the Jacksonville Jaguar logo for them and broke it down, retooled a couple of the things and gave it a nice font, because you're gonna have to choose your fonts too. You got to keep that in mind as you build your logo. So right here, we have the icon, and then under it, we have the font. They don't necessarily have a tagline. It could have been like the roar of the, leopard or something, or the roar of whatever. Being that this was a Jaguar, we turned it into, a panther essentially. And then from there, I gave them some t-shirt mocks. Like, this is how it would look on a t-shirt. Your designer, whenever you're hiring anybody, they should do this for you. Like for example, I actually, I did the t-shirts here, but I'm actually working on their website as well. So I put, the front page of their website on here, because I want them to see how their brand or how their logo will look across different mediums. Here's something I mocked up for Lasalle. It's not in rotation yet. It hasn't been really locked in. This is a mock I came up with them. I spoke with the athletic director, really good guy. We're in talks again. We have another call coming up, which is pretty cool. You're gonna notice that with clients when you're doing logos, sometimes they're ready, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they'll hire you to start it, which is, if you're being hired to start a logo, you might want to go with a down payment. So this way, if they do decide to hold off, at least you got paid something, and you're not just waiting for them to come back to you and pay you. So this is their logo. This is their cardinal. So I took that and I updated it. I made something a little bit more streamlined, more dynamic. I felt like this had more flow to it. So when the kids are playing sports or they're doing anything else, like they could look at this and be like, whoa, okay. And again, I broke it down. Here are the colors. Here's how the lockups could look separate from the logo, from the icon. Broke down the icon again so they could see how it looks in simple colors. And then here we have Berkeley Nights. This is another thing where I spoke with the coach and he wanted something updated. But again, when you're working with like entities like schools or organizations, a lot of times it's more than one person handling decisions. So you have to understand that it takes a process to get something approved, and sometimes it doesn't even get approved because the school just, hey, we don't have the budget for that right now, or hey, we want to revisit that later, or hey, we want to do a whole rollout where we do a website and this and this and this, and you got to kind of adhere to their plans, and just go on the back burner for a little while. So this is a mock-up I created for them. This is not the mock-up. This is their logo that they have now. So I created a mock-up for them. Same thing. I wanted it to be more dynamic. Came up with the colors. Again, broke down the variations in color styles from simple to medium. From complex, simple to medium. And even separated the wording. I think your logo, or I think your school should do this with your logo. So these are things where it's like, I think you should do this. What's your feedback? What are your plans? What do you want to do? So that's kind of the gist of some of the logos I've done. I've done a whole lot more. For example, we can go over to logo slides. Okay. We could go into that a little later because it's sharing this screen. Okay, so now that we got some of the jobs I've done out the way, primarily some of the schools, we're going to start going into logo creating. All right, so we have a quick, this is probably the most wordage you'll see on any of my slides moving forward. I don't particularly like to add a lot of words to my slides because I think presentation should be more visual, but we're going to talk about certain things. Like, for example, it gives you, I'll have this available for people later on. I'll put it on the website so you can have this and go back to it. Just to let you know, everybody does logos differently. There's a basic template, I guess a basic process that everybody runs through as they build their logo, excuse me. But basically, logo is a design or symbol that represents the organization, right? Here's where things get tricky, right? I'm going to read right from the page. A well-designed logo is more than just a pretty graphic pair with a fancy font. Great logo surpasses the nuts and bolts of their design to evoke some sort of memory or emotion within the viewer, a feeling that captures their relationship with the brand. A truly great logo communicates a brand and everything it represents at just a glance, right? So that's something to really understand. Anytime you do a logo, you do marketing, you do branding, you want to understand, you want to go for memory or emotion. I say memory and emotion because humans in general are emotional beings and they attach buying habits, they attach loyalty to emotion. So you want to be able to understand, like, all right, does this have an emotional attachment to it? Is it something memorable? And just to be clear, don't take your logo personal, but don't take it personal, right? It's a double-edged sword. Some people take it personal because I say they created the logo themselves, or their aunt created a logo, or their sister, or their nephew, and they're like, this is the logo I want to use. Like, it's a horrible logo. It's not the greatest logo. It's not the best representation of your brand, but because it's so personal to them, they'll hold on to that, not understanding that it could eventually take a major hit to your business later on, because you might have to rebrand later. And then you're going to have to reestablish that relationship with your customers if you've already been established down the line. Like I've had clients that come to me and they're like, oh, I want it just like this, just kind of touch it up. And it's like, this is not the job for me. Maybe you should hire somebody else to do this because I think you should go in a whole different direction. Because when clients hire me, they're not hiring me to do a logo, they're hiring 20 years of experience, right? So this is one reason why me in particular, I don't charge by the hour, because what it takes the typical designer to do for like 3 days, I do in like an hour because of my experience and the hundreds of logos I've done over the years. I come to the table with all that experience where I'm saying, hey, this is what's going to make your logo successful. Trust me, like this is what I do. But a lot of times people go into it, like I said, it's a little personal for them because it is their business and it's something that they created, where instead of saying, hey, let's collaborate and let's figure out how to make this work. You want to do that. You want to figure out how to collaborate with your designer or whatever tools that you're using to figure out what works best overall, not what works best personally, because you want to think of your brand in general, what's going to be memorable and what's going to evoke some type of emotion in your client or even your students. Like a lot of these other logos, like there were rebrands and it evokes an emotion in the student. Now they feel proud. The teachers feel proud. Like, wow, this is, look at this. Like, look at my shirt. Like, I look like I got an NBA logo on me. I look like I got a major league logo. Like, this is what's up. Like, so it's things like that that you want to keep in mind moving forward. So right now we're going to go into the 20 most recognizable brand logos. So if you look here, you'll see a lot of these logos, right? Super, super simple. Not saying the best logos are simple, just saying these are the 20 most recognizable logos. I like to show this because it shows people chill out, essentially. Like, your logo is way too busy. There's too much going on. Let's look at some of the top players in the game and why they're successful, why their brand is so recognizable over all these years, right? When you look at this Apple, the first one, you already know what you're getting, right? The story behind the Apple logo is you're getting something cool, you're getting something hip, you're getting modern, you're getting sleek. The Apple logo tells a whole story as soon as you see it. The McDonald's arches, as soon as you see that, the first thing you probably think about is French fries, chicken nuggets, whatever your favorite meal is, and it evokes those memories. Like, for me, I remember playing in a ball pit when McDonald's used to have the playgrounds. Like, that was my memory. Coca-Cola, Nike. Every time you see these logos, it evokes a story. All these brands have stories behind them. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna help create a story through a logo, right? All of these logos are cool, but they're not your logo. Your logo is gonna be better. So your logo. So some things to keep in mind. Two things. Design is a lot of strategy. You're gonna create something visual at some point, but the next page we're gonna talk about these questions you need to answer before even moving forward with the logo, right? It's a lot of thinking, a lot of decision making. It's a lot of things necessary in order to have a great logo. There's no perfect. Perfect is subjective. So it may be perfect to you, but it's not perfect to me, you know? But if you think it's perfect and you're cutting the check, hey, like a lot of designers will think like that and they won't necessarily give you their 2 cents. I kind of like to give my 2 cents because I have that crazy 20-year experience where I could say, hey, this is cool, but I think if we add this to your logo, you have something magical, and nine out of 10 times, my clients will take heed to that information and will refine it and they'll have something special. You're not just designing a logo, right? Remember, logo is one part of the larger visual system. Like we spoke about before, the logo is not your brand. Your brand is something bigger. It's a bigger universe. Your logo is an aspect of your brand. It's an individual piece where your whole brand will work together on everything. So step one, we want to discover. So these are the main questions you should ask yourself when building a brand. If you're doing it for a business, if you're doing it for a side hustle, if you're doing it for a school project, if you're doing it for whatever your reason may be for designing a logo, you want to ask yourself these questions. Why do you want or need a logo? I'm starting a business and I need a logo. What is the story behind your company? Again, we speak about Apple. Their story is, for example, we'll take the iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Like, you get sleek, you get modern, you get hip. So you know the story behind their logo. Who is your target audience? One of the most important parts of your logo. Who is your target audience? It's the same thing when you're building a business. When you're building a business, all those questions that you answer when building a business apply right into your logo. These are the same questions you're going to ask yourself when you're building your business as well. Who's your target audience? Like, who are you catering to? Is it a kids company? Is it older adults company? Is it a beverage company? Is it Coca-Cola? Is it Apple? Is it IBM? Is it Ford? Is it BMW? Is it a higher end? Is it a lower end? These are the questions you want to ask yourself. Like, who are you targeting? Who's your competition? It's another great question. Because what you're going to do is you're going to research your competition, whether you're building a business or building a logo. Hey, Remo, welcome to the club. If you have any questions, throw them in the hat. I actually designed the Art of Stepping. I rebranded them. So she's a happy client right there. So you want to see who's your competition, and you're going to look at what the competition is doing, right? How are they doing it? What they're doing right, what you feel they're doing wrong, and how you can improve on that. And you're gonna apply that to your logo and your business. What are the goals of your logo? Like, what is a successful logo to you? You want to try to get that down. Like, for example, the Omega Phi Beta Foundation logo, right? They have the sunflower, and what they have like now on screen, it represents what they want. The sunflower, as soon as you see it, you know exactly what it is, you know exactly what they represent, and you know what they're about. So you want to ask yourself, what is the success of the logo? What is the goal of your logo? To attract more clients, to build a story, to maybe tell people at a glance what's going on, which should always be a story. What would be the main use of your logo? Like, is it going to be for your website? Is it going to be on T-shirts? Is it going to be icon for your mobile app? You want to get that down. What is the main use of your logo? What industry are you in? Are you in the food section? Are you in the services? Are you doing, non-for-profit? What are you offering? Same, similar question. Like, after you figure out what are your services, like I'm providing a service. What industry I'm in? I'm in a service industry. So what are you offering? I do design. I offer logo design, website design, and multimedia design across the board. Okay, and then do you have a tagline? That's something you want to keep in mind too. Then something else we want to keep in mind, which we'll go over. What are your colors? Another important question to keep in mind. So you see, we're doing this in real time. I just slapped this together an hour ago. Step 2, after you've answered all those questions, what's your name? What name have you come up with? What are we doing? What, like, is it a clever name? Is it a short name? Is it a long name? Is it Celebrate You? Is it Growth and Goals? Is it Omega Phi Beta Foundation? Is it Berkeley Nights? Is it Lasalle or Cardinals? Like, whoa, is it McDonald's? Is it Apple? What's your name? Is it Yahoo? Is it something like derived from your imagination? Is it Google? Is it catchy? Is this something that's going to get your audience to come to you? Because a lot of times I've come across people who are so literal in their logos where it's like, I'm a personal trainer. I'm like, all right, cool. What do you want it to be? Marty Mall personal training for the everyday person. I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put your tagline in your logo name. That's a whole tagline. Like, let's try to truncate that. Let's shorten that. Let's find something catchy, So that's something to think about. Like, step 3, what is your style? Do you want to do an icon-based logo? Do you want to do a name-based logo, or do you want to do an initial-based logo? So these are things you want to keep in mind as well. Like, if you look at the Omega Phi Beta Foundation logo, you see they're icon-based, but they also have their name wrapping around. But primarily they're icon-based. If you look at the Growth and Goals logo, we're name-based, which is right here. The Growth and Goals mindset. We're name-based. So those are things to keep in mind, which direction you want to go in. And then once you get that down, so right now we already went through 3 steps. First step, you answered all those questions to define who you are and what you want in your logo. Step 2 was figuring out your name. What's the name of your brand, or what name of your company is going to be in your logo? Step 3 is, what's your style? Now we go into step 4, inspiration. There's a great book out there called Steal Like an Artist. It's basically find inspiration in other, in your competition, essentially. So what I like to do is, once I get all those basic steps down, 1, 2, and 3, I like to build a mood board, right? Mood board is very important because I'll break down the industry that person is in. Once they broke down those questions, what industry they're in, what style they're looking for. So now that I have all those questions answered, I know what to look for and some type of inspiration that's going to help me pull something like, oh, all right, cool, this is amazing. Or maybe your client will give you, has a logo in mind, or maybe you have a logo in mind, or someone you're working with has a logo in mind, or maybe there's something already there that you're going to build on. Like for example, when we worked on Art of Stepping, Remo already had something in play, and all I did was basically renew it, rebrand it, like I did with the other schools. They had something in play, and we just rebranded it. But you want to also just get some inspiration. Maybe you want some inspiration on logo type. Maybe you want some inspiration on colors. You want to figure out what's working, what's not working. So now we're going to go into step 5. Once you have all that done, you're ready to sketch your logo. You're ready to start getting down your ideas. You want to start doing things where you get your ideas on the page. If anybody has any questions at this point, throw them out there. If not, we'll keep going. What we want to try to lock in is the ideas. Like if you look at this, for example, this is Crab Shack, right? They did all these different icons, all these different wording exercises to figure out what works, you know? And then over here we have Just Coffee. Same thing. They sketched out all these different variables of something that could potentially look cool, of something where that identifies their brand, right? So they wound up picking this one with the green check. Just didn't need to say coffee because they got the beans there. It's genius. The S in the bean in the oval looks like a bean, a coffee bean. So they just showed everybody like, wow, that's clever. And it's memorable. It's emotional. Everybody loves coffee, right? Oh, for the most part, most people do. But coffee is something that a lot of people really lean on and genuinely love. So Just Coffee, it's the beans. When you leave, you're like, oh, it's a clever logo. It's something that's memorable. Okay, and then once you get your sketches down, you're getting ready to start refining your logo. You're getting ready to start building out your logo, getting into the vector form. If you're using Illustrator or Procreate or Photoshop or anything like that, I highly recommend you use a vector-based program, which is an Illustrator or there's a whole bunch of other programs out there. Can't think of them off the top of my head, but we're going into step 6, which is your colors. So once you get all these other steps done, you're going to start looking at these colors. Colors evoke emotion. So colors are very important to your brand, very important to your logo, because one, it becomes part of your story, and two, it evokes certain emotions, certain thoughts. Like for example, like green, for example, nature, healing, freshness, quality, but it also evokes trust. If you put it somewhere like in a store, it evokes trust. It's green. It represents money. So people are more likely to buy something because you know the colors are making them feel comfortable. It sounds crazy, but there's a lot of research into this that proves all these things. For example, blue, right here. There's a reason why Twitter and Facebook are these tones of blue, because it's a social color. It evokes trust as well. Trust, peace, loyalty, confidence. So when you have these in your logo, subconsciously, this is what's going into your mind. Twitter feels trustworthy. You know, I'm loyal to Twitter, you know, and then like Instagram is like pink and red, you know, compassion, sincerity, sophistication, excitement, strength, love. So these are things that they're portraying in their logo. Like for example, Betty has purple in her logo for Celebrate You. Represents royalty, luxury, spirituality, ambition. That's some of the key phrases into what goes into her logo and what even her brand overall. So we got that down. Now we're going to go into step 7, which is finish and refine. And we're going to work on a logo together. These are some logo building sites. There's a logo building site right here. The 10 best logo makers. You could go on there, find some logo makers if you can't do it yourself. And this is a link to the colors. So you can look through that and see different color combinations and things that will evoke, you know, some things that are happening with your brand and stuff like that. All right, so we're gonna start with, today we're gonna do a logo, right? We're gonna do a logo together after everything we just did. Let's pretend we have all those questions answered. We know what's going on. Community Education Council. They approached me. They said, hey, Marty, we need a matter of fact, they approached me and said, hey, somebody did a logo for us. We don't think it's the best logo. can you help us do a logo? Absolutely, I said, absolutely. Let me see what they did, and then let's talk about it. So they said, all right, cool, Marty. This is what they did. This is what their original logo up here, and this is what the other company did. So they were like, what do you think? And I was like, well, first of all, let me just say, I know the guys who did this logo. I love these guys. Not taking shots, boom, boom. But these are my guys. But they know I've spoken about this logo plenty of times. So we're gonna keep going with this exercise. This was their main logo right here. We're gonna take my thing right here. Boop. This is their main logo. Let's bring that to the front. Right? And this is the logo that the other company came up with. So I said, why did they do that? They said, well, we told them we wanted like some type of chalkboard incorporated into the logo, but they didn't add in hands. We wanted hands because we want to show that we're communal, that we work with the parents of all, nationalities, of all genders, of all, walks of life. So I was like, all right, cool. So you want to include some type of way to show your inclusiveness, and you want to add in a chalkboard to show some type of educational aspect to it. They're like, exactly. I was like, all right, cool. So let's think about this. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to come over here. We're going to stop sharing. We're going to come over here. And we're going to watch this one, add pin. There we go. Okay, we're going to get this up. Okay, that one. All right. Does everybody, can you see my screen right there, my artboard? Can you see that right there? Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, can you see my screen right here? All right, perfect. So they want hands. Equals inclusion. And they want the chalkboard. Darker. All right. So they want the hands to represent inclusion. They want the chalkboard to represent education. Right? And we know they want CEC in it because they're the Community Education Council. They're CEC 1. Right? So we got that in play. So with that in mind, let's come up with some ideas for them. So the first thing I want to do is try to include hands. So we got some hands here. Maybe we could do some that. Then maybe we could put CC here. That's not bad right there. That's cool. So then I want to also play with shapes. So let's go in a circle. Maybe I could get some hands. Maybe they're shaking hands or something. Let me have it go in a circle or something. Okay, I kind of like that. I like that. Let's see. Triangle.
Maybe we could do the shaking hands again. And then maybe put a banner up here, CEC, and put the whole Community Education Council. And then do the hands shaking again. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. I like some of these. Okay, we got the square here. Move this over. What can I do with this rectangle? We already kind of worked a squarish rectangle already, but let's see if I could do it this way. Go landscape. A more portrait. Maybe somebody's writing on the board. They're writing CEC or something. You know, so what we're doing right now, we're just kind of exploring like potential cases and uses of certain things. So I kind of like this one right here, right? And when I did it, you know, I asked them too. I was like, hey, which one do you kind of like? And they kind of leaned on this one. I was like, all right, cool. So let's do that. Let's take this one. Let's copy and paste that. So now we have that one alone. All right. So now I know I have hands checked off, chalkboard chalked off, CEC checked off. Did I say chalkboard chalked off? So I like this. I like this a lot, right? So we want to figure out how we can really work with this, right? So CEC 1, they're in NYC, and they're the District 1 Community Council, D1 Community Council. All right. We'll just go back to this. Let's get a circle. Let's get another
Marty.
circle. Huh?
You got a question?
All right.
So your local Sky Kid asks, what gestures do you recommend, like flags, flowers, etc.?
What do you mean?
What gestures do you recommend, like flags, flowers, etc.? I'm not sure. As you're doing this exercise, that's the question that came in. So gestures.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in that logo, do you recommend any gestures to put on that logo? I'm thinking. So local Sky Kid, if you have another.
Yeah. I'm a little confused with the question.
Okay, so local Sky Kid, can you please rephrase the question?
Yes. So we'll keep going with this. Like I understand what he's saying, like kind of ornamental elements to add on. Like for growth and goals, I did add like the leaves like this, because when you see that, you kind of think scholarly. It's something you see like in a lot of schools and universities, in their seals. But for this, I'm gonna keep it a little cleaner. So you know what else represents school to me? Number 2 pencils. So I want to add a number 2 pencil in there. Okay, so now it's one of those things that's like, can I do this? How about I go, let's put this here. Let's go like this. And you know what? Let's put the hands here. Let's put the hands right here. Okay. I want them like shaking hands. So let's do this. And then it's gonna come. Okay, let's do that. Okay, this is my hand. It'll look better when I refine it. Right now we're in sketch stage, so we'll do that. Okay, I really like that. I really like that. Okay, so you know what'll look cool too? The number 2 pencil has a thing like on the pencil like that. So let's figure out how to incorporate that somehow. Okay. And this big old place spot right here, we're gonna go like. Booyah. I want to make sure people know that's a 1. Boom. So that's pretty cool right there. Because this centerpiece could be gray for the chalkboard. And then here, I want to have some oranges for the pencil. And then here, the hands, I want 2 different colors to represent diversity. Let's keep this orange too. Let's keep that orange to stay with the theme. Let's go with a darker color here, because it's usually black on a pencil. And I want to add more details to creating the chalkboard. So let's do this. Let's take this and let's go like that. Ooh, I like that. So that's like where you hold the chalk. And then let's go like, and let's turn this into like a chalkboard frame. And we're gonna put District 1 Community Education Council. It's a sketch, so I'm not gonna write it out. So boom, now we have something that's looking something. So what I'll do real quick is just move that under, because let me lock this real quick. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's duplicate this. Unlock that. Okay, so let's just get some rough colors in there. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, let's throw this in there. Let's go like this. Cancel. So I like that. I like the way that's looking right there. A little bigger. So like I said, there's a sketch. You're not going to go crazy. You can if you want, but for time purposes, we're going to get this out the way. Okay, and then I like. Okay. Let's go brown over here. Represent the chalkboard. I think it should be a border too, like this. And then let's get some skin tones. So I kind of like that. Kind of looks like my skin tone, right? Yeah, let's go a little darker. A little darker. Boom. Oh, we got to get that pencil right there. You know what? Let's go. Let's kind of use the same color here. So it kind of shows like we're embedded in the education. You know. Boom. I like that. I like this a lot. What do you guys think? You guys like this? I like this. All right. So this was the process in creating the logo, right? We answered a few questions that we needed to answer. We got the client's needs of the logo, right? It needed to have hands, chalkboard, and a name. So this is what we came up with. So now we're going to
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yes, there we go. So we went from the sketch, and now we have a finished logo. Exactly what we sketched. I added in some details, I refined it, you know, and then I broke it down to simple factors, so people can see like, hey, if we don't want to use this, we can use this one, or this one. Here's our fonts on the side. Here's the color selections. So all of these colors are all thought through. They represent diversity. They represent school. When you see a number 2 pencil or a pencil that's orange, the first thing you think of school. That's usually the first place your mind goes to. And then once we established this, they're like, wow, okay. So it went from this, we'll go like that. And we'll move this over right here like this. Okay, now you see the difference in logos. You can see what works, what doesn't work, why it would work. This one has, you see all these minor, small icons. When you start going like that, you don't know what that is. When you start raising it up, you see what it is, but it's just so much detail. It's so much color, right? So when you go to get this printed out, you have all these colors to think about. These colors are not necessarily CMYK. You want to think about CMYK, RGB. RGB is red, green, blue. Those are the colors that your TV and your computer screen see. CMYK is what the print colors are: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's what every printer prints in. Those 4 colors combined to make infinite colors, right? Not infinite, but all those colors that you see printed. So you want to understand, if you're going to do this, when you print it in CMYK, the colors are going to come out differently because it's a different blend. RGB is red, green, blue. That's what your monitors see, your TVs. So it's going to define everything differently. So when you print it, you're going to get a different output. So you want to understand these are the things that are going to go into your logo. Yeah, it has the green chalkboard there, but you can't really tell. The only reason you know it's a chalkboard is because these things on top. But these things on top are a little too much, you know. And plus, it looks like maybe a kindergarten logo. It doesn't represent like a whole council in which we want to represent 1, education, 2, community, and 3, diversity and inclusion. So with this logo, we hit all those marks. And then from there, this is how they utilize it in their overall brand. This is how it would look on a mug, on a pencil eraser, the different uses of using the one with the full name, using it without the full name. You want to keep these things in mind and have these options available for your client, whether it's the icon, the logo. You want to try to make sure, even when you're doing your own, you want to make sure you have those things locked in. So that is essentially how to design a logo, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got a lot out of that. what I want to do is, before we go, I want to go into this other page. And create a logo with you guys on a free site. So what we're going to do is new share. We're going to come over here. Okay, do you guys see my Google screen right here? Okay.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is free logo maker. Super simple, right? You're going to get all these options. Try all of them. See which one you like the best because they're free. So you can use all these options to create multiple logos and pick which one you want to use best. If you're not creating your own logo, or you can even use this as a guide to give to your designer. So let's say we pick this one. Create your logo in 5 minutes. Anybody have a name for a logo we should use? Let's call it Growth and Goals. Or you know what? Let's design it. I didn't add a tagline. You could have added a tagline. I didn't want one. So now it's similar to what we do. What are you offering or intend to offer? So these are all the things I could pick from. You can put in other too, describe it to them. I'm going to do service next. Okay, what industry are you in? Tell us more about it. You can go deeper. See, we're a small organic coffee shop in Williamsburg focus. So we want to do education. We have super dope free webinars. Next. Boom. Now it's asking, this is exactly where I got it from. Icon, name base, or this. Let's go with, I don't know, let's see what they come up with for icons. Geometric shape, search for icon. I don't want to search for a shape. Let's go with geometric. Okay, so now it's asking me select up to 5 icons. Okay, I like that. And I like that and that. You don't have to go all 5. I'm gonna go next. All right, so now, as you see, choose a style that you love. So it's basically the same process we spoke about. Now you're seeing it in a visual. So choose 3 styles you love. Let's see, I like taller. I like playful. And let's go with the masculine. Designing a perfect logo. Oh boy, I am excited. Oh, it's planning my social posts too. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Look at this. It is horrible. It's not really what I had in mind. Let's see what else they got. Okay. This is cool. They kind of kept it basic with the icons, you know. This is cool. I kind of like that, you know. We could customize it as well. So, oh, look at that. And then it shows you how it would look on different things like we do. This is cool. What's this? All right, it has a font there. Then you can come over here. You can change the colors, the layouts, the styles. So this is the basic gist of how to create a logo. Oh, you live in Williamsburg? So that was wild random too. So that's how we do it. That's how we design a logo. Again, if you have any questions, you could contact me at growthandgoals@gmail.com. Also, go to www.growthandgoals.com to see this video and the other videos that we have that we did with Omega Phi Beta Foundation for the past 5 weeks. This is the 6th week, right? So yeah, so we have all the other ones up there. It's also on the YouTube page for Growth and Goals. So you can go and you can see all the other lessons of STEAM education that we ran through, all the collaborations. So join the mailing list, because next week, I believe we're gonna have Def Jam A&R, Dro, come and talk about how to set up meetings, how to get your elevator pitch, and basically how to talk to clients and close deals. So we're going to talk about closing deals and team strategies. And then pretty soon we're going to have Remo come on to talk about how to build your brand internationally. She don't know yet, but she's going to be on in a couple of weeks. We're going to schedule her. And we're also going to use her world famous CFO, Patrick Soul, who's very good. And he's going to talk about retirement and financial planning. So he don't know yet, but we're going to schedule him in. He's always a great guy to work with us. Are you telling Pat? He knows. So we haven't scheduled those, but next week we're definitely going to have the Def Jam A&R. I'm coming to talk about music industry and anything in that nature. I have a question about school communities connect with you to help them build their brand. Yeah, if you want to connect with me to build your brand, you can just hit me up at growthandgoals@gmail.com. And we can start from there. Like, for example, PS34 Principal Glover did that. He reached out to me, he said, "Hey, Marty," and then I asked him those questions. We started, we built the sketches, and we did the whole process. So that's something that's really cool with them. And I could do that for everybody. So not for everybody, my time is a little tight right now. So I have other junior designers who work with me, who I'm helping get their game tight as well. But for the most part, hit us up. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to support Omega Phi Beta Foundation and donate to their scholarship fund. That's very important, providing scholarships for our youth. And hit me up if you have questions on logos or branding or websites or anything of that nature, and we could definitely help you out. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. Until next time. Oh, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to hit that bell for notifications so you're up to date on everything that we're doing. Till then, don't forget.